All right, y'all. We are going to be doing some maintenance on my wife's 2019 Fusion with the 1.5 inner. We're going to be doing a oil change. I try to stick to about 3.5 thousand miles in between oil changes. We're also going to be doing spark plugs, and a transmission drain and fill. So tag along. She is at 85.6 thousand miles on the dot. Let's see where we're at on the trip here. If I can get to it, let's see. 3,700. Damn. A little over, but it'll be okay. We're going to take a quick drive just to kind of warm everything up a little bit. Let the drain run a little smoother. Took her in to get a fuel induction service done to get those valves cleaned up a bit. They did a courtesy inspection, and it looks like it is time for rear brakes and rotors. So that's going to be next month's project. All right, we're back after a quick drive. Got her up on ramps, e-brake on. Got a little chalk in the back just for a little added insurance. First step, we're going to get the lower, skid plastic cover, if you will, although it doesn't really do anything. All right, bunch of little 10 millimeter bolts to get this cover off. Cover's off. We got a 13 millimeter drain plug right there. And then there's our location toward the front of the vehicle, mounted horizontally, which I hate. All right, she's cracked loose. We're going to go ahead and let air kind of help that escape a little quicker. All right, so this oil filter for me has always been a pain in the ass to get. So I use one of these just to get it on there, to crack it loose, and then, twist it off with my hand the rest of the way. Okay, filter out. New one over there prepped. We did take a little sample and lubed up the gasket. Don't want to go in dry. We're going to give it a quick wipe down and then reinstall. Okay, new one's on. Got her cleaned up nice and good. Hand tight, snug, no overdoing it. All right, trying something different. We went with a Fumoto drain valve on my wife's car. I've had one on my truck for about 2 cycles now. Really enjoy it. With the way this pan is designed, we had to go with the F106SX. Just because it's recessed right there, this is the only one that will fit. All right, time to fill. Big fan of Pennzoil Ultra Platinum. Vehicle calls for 5W20. And with filter, we're looking at around 4 to 4.3 quarts. All right, time for spark plugs. So, inline 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's not the firing order, I'm just counting. We got some 8 millimeter bolts to take off for the coils, boots, whatever. And then we'll get after the spark plugs. We're going to do just one at a time to kind of stay organized. I do prefer to stay OEM for certain things, and spark plugs are one of those things. So we got Motorcraft Iridium spark plugs. We're going to be very careful with these electrical tabs to make sure that we don't break them. All right, before we took the old plug out, we used some compressed air just to kind of clean up the workspace a little bit, get the dust out. New plug about to go in, Motorcraft. The gap for these, or for this vehicle, is, I think it's 0.026 to 0.030. So there is like a margin there that as long as you're within, you're good. These come pre-gapped. I did check them, and they're right where they need to be. So, all right, we got our hand tight there with the extension. Torque spec is 9 to 12, I believe, foot-pounds. So we're going to split it in the middle. All right, first one done, 3 to go. These connectors are a little weird, but simple. You pull back on the tab and then push down, and it releases really easily. All right, spark plugs have been swapped out. For this one, all the way on the passenger side, it's a lot easier if you keep that connector removed. That way it slips out this way. I was struggling for a moment because of the coil pack binding right here. All right, transmission drain and fill time. There is the CVT transmission. I forget the model number, 63F something another. I'll post it. But anyway, there is my drain plug. It is a 7/16 for me. Fits perfectly, so we're gonna go ahead and drain her now. Alrighty, thoroughly drained. Drain plug back in. I did add just a smidge of thread sealer at the base of the bolt. Torque spec 8.8 foot-pounds, so not a ton there. Okay, time to fill. So the fill port for the transmission is up here at the top. It's a pain in the butt to get to, but you can kind of see right there where I've got the funnel into. It's just got one of these little caps, Mercon LV, that you just kind of pull out. There's no screwing or anything like that. You just kind of pull it out. But yeah, so we are going to add about 4.5 quarts, a little bit more than what it calls for. And then we are going to drive her, get her up to temp, about 185 to 200 degrees Fahrenheit. We're going to take about a 15-minute drive to kind of get it there. And then we are going to do the leveling procedure. Stay tuned. All right, we're about ready to test drive. We've got that. You can kind of see it right there. We've got the cap back on, the fill port. We're ready to go. All right, before we go for that test drive, I want to show you guys the leveling procedure after getting her up to temp, about 185 to 200 degrees Fahrenheit. So on the driver's side front wheel well, hopefully you guys can see it right. Try to get the light to work with me. Wait, where are you? Now I've lost you. Yeah, right there. You should be able to see a bolt, not the small one, but the bigger one. It's a 10 millimeter hex. So we are going to, while the vehicle's level and idling, undo that bolt and let the transmission fluid seep out. And when it's pretty much stopped seeping, we know we are at the correct level. Mercon LV expands quite a bit when at temp, so that's why we kind of overfill it a little bit to make sure we're at a good fill. All right, heading on our test drive. We're gonna go for about 15-20 minutes and then bring her on back to the home garage. All right, we were able to break her loose. We're gonna undo it. We're gonna let her slowly drain to the appropriate fill level once it's barely dribbling. All right, as you can see, plugs back in. We are good to go. All done.